Hi YouTube. Right now there's breaking news. Robert Pattinson kissed by a fan with swine flu. So Robert Pattinson was going about his business when a female fan jumped out of a stopped vehicle, ran up to him, and kissed him. She said to him, "My mom wouldn't pull the car over to let me out because I'm just getting over the swine flu, so I jumped out of at the red light just to see you." After that, Robert reportedly pushed the girl away and yelled back, "You have the swine flu? What the hell are you doing kissing anyone?" Robert didn't even make any comments on the occurrence, but why should he have to? That's just disgusting. But seriously, you can just walk up to Robert Pattinson and kiss him? I mean, what girl doesn't dream of a moment like that? Doesn't she know that the swine flu, aka Spanish influenza, is what poor Edward Cullen was dying in Twilight when Carlisle finds him? I can't, I just can't believe that someone would have the nerve to kiss him when they know that they just got over an illness that's not only highly contagious, but deadly. Hello, I think she deserves to be yelled at because that was a total disrespectful act against Robert. He should have pressed assault charges or something. Geez, even if Rob may occasionally like a little tongue action, I'm sure he's not looking for a deadly virus going around. Um, so I gotta go. Bye YouTube, and also um, check me out on Twitter. Don't forget Gossip um, for my Twitter, and also um, during Christmas I will read a poem that I found, and you guys can check it out. The website is Twilight Lexicon. You probably know that website. It's very popular, I think. So I gotta go. So bye.